This is Business Week Armenia, ＳիվիլNeթ's weekly economic news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia this week. Wendy's plans to open 20 restaurants in Armenia through 2030, becoming one of the few major US fast food restaurant chains to enter the country. In a statement this week, the company said the development was expected to generate approximately 600 new jobs across Armenia, and said the expansion was part of broader plans to ramp up growth outside of the United States. 70% of our expansion will occur outside the United States, with plans to reach 2,000 international restaurants by 2028. This new partnership supports this goal, Wendy's president E.J. Wunsch said in the press release. The hamburger fast food giant is partnering with a local franchisee, Wen Restaurant, to open the new locations. Wen Restaurant CEO Ron Grigoryan hailed the deal as a step toward bringing an iconic US brand to Armenia's untapped market of nearly 3 million consumers, but did not specify when the first location would open. Wendys already operates in locations in neighboring Georgia, which may facilitate supply chain and logistics planning as the company expands to Armenia. With the move, Wendys will join Burger King, KFC, and Pizza Hut as major US fast food chains in Armenia. The rest of the country's fast food market is dominated by local brands. McDonald's, the largest American fast food chain, has no presence in Armenia. Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has confirmed the government will take over interim management of Armenia's power grid, but for the first time he also suggested that the state may not operate the utility in the long term. The comments this week mark an apparent walkback of previous remarks, suggesting his goal was to nationalize electric networks of Armenia in full. At this stage, our goal is to take over the management of ENA. We did not say that after this process, the state will be the one managing it, Pashinyan said in response to a ＳivilNeթ question at a press conference this week. Continuing, the Prime Minister suggested unnamed leading international companies in friendly countries could ultimately take over the utility. He did not elaborate. The day after, Pashinyan dismissed Romanos Petrosyan, a close political ally, from his position in Armenia's executive branch. Sources familiar with the Prime Minister's thinking told ＳivilNeթ on condition of anonymity that this will allow Pashinyan to place Petrosyan in charge of ENA on an interim basis. Last month, law enforcement arrested ENA's owner, Samvel Karapetyan, on charges of making calls for regime change, after the billionaire spoke out against Pashinyan's ongoing feud with the Armenian Apostolic Church. Shortly after that, lawmakers passed a bill allowing the government to seize control of ENA. In response, Karapetyan's family filed an international arbitration case against the government, alleging violations of a bilateral investment treaty between Armenia and Cyprus. Separately, opposition lawmakers are challenging the bill's legality in Armenia's constitutional court. Regardless, the government's moves to seize ENA have spooked the private sector, with a number of prominent business leaders and former senior officials warning it could threaten Armenia's attractiveness to foreign investors. Despite that criticism, Pashinyan has continued to insist that improving the country's business environment is a priority for this administration. In a related development this week, investigators slapped Karapetyan, a dual Armenian-Russian citizen, with additional charges of fraud, tax evasion, and money laundering. That came after officers raided dozens of locations, apparently connected to Karapetyan, as part of a probe into the billionaire's sprawling business empire. Karapetyan's lawyers reject the charges against him and call them politically motivated. The price of liquified petroleum gas, which most drivers in Armenia use to fill their cars, soared this week amid reports that Georgia was blocking the transit of the Russian-produced fuel, straining household budgets across Armenia. LPG prices grew by more than 40% this week, as Armenian importers said up to 500 trucks, loaded with the Russian-made fuel, remained stuck at customs in Georgia. The importers said they had not been made aware of the reason behind the reported hold-ups. Georgia has so far not commented on the matter, though former President Salome Zurabishvili, a fierce critic of the current government, decried the apparent blockage in a post on X. Georgia must stand as a true partner, not a channel for pressure. Such actions damage trust and regional economic stability. This must stop now, she wrote. The reported hold-ups come just months after Georgian customs officials prevented trucks carrying Armenian brandy and wine entering Russia for weeks at a time, throwing Armenia's multi-million-dollar export-dependent alcoholic beverages industry in serious jeopardy. Armenian and Georgian officials have since suggested they had settled the beverages dispute, though some producers continue to report issues. Armenia and Russia conduct most of their business with each other, overland through Georgia. Trade between Moscow and Yerevan topped $12 billion last year, making Russia Armenia's largest economic partner. And, as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.